Flight boss, bitch. You know, for sure. You know, I listen to the Mind of an Terry's Moon, Flight boss, the Archangel Uriel, and I'm here to carry out God duties and motherfucking responsibilities. And right now, we finna get into some very, very old, ancient astrology right now. And this is probably even before any astrology you known to be called astrology. You know what I'm saying? Because it's really just based upon the stars. And once we get there, you don't have to use any man name or anything of that nature. But, you know, for the most part, when we're talking about this, back then, you know, mankind, this was before they understood that they wasn't the only people on a Pacific land. This took place before they was consciously aware of things wasn't just relative to them or based upon them, and in different locations based upon where you at inside Earth, things may appear to be different. So this is before they understood that kind of concept right there. So all the knowledge that you may have received from any ancient science or astrology or whatever like that may start from that, may start from after people was already aware that things wasn't just relative to them. But I'm about to speak upon some ancient astrology before man and woman was consciously aware of things ain't just relative to them. I'm going back to the mind of when they just thought that things was just relative to them and everything was based upon their location and where they was at. And that's where a lot of the mind state of ancients, that's a lot of where their mind state was at. So people need to understand that also. A lot of them didn't travel amongst their land. So a lot of times their origins, they was only consciously aware of their location. So how things appeared to them based upon their location, that's how it was. So this is also going to give you an understanding when you see all the old ancient temples that had the ceilings and stuff, and they be showing the zodiac through the ceiling and things of that nature, and people try to say that they was into constellations and things of that nature. Really, that was their clock. That was them keeping track of time. You know what I'm saying? And this is why I say houses rules everything. Then come the planets, then come the signs, because planets are the house lords. You know what I'm saying? Or the planet rule the sign. It's the lord of that sign. When we say lord, that's lord. So it rule over that sign, which is that part of the body. The star constellations is the many stars that built the body. You know what I'm saying? The planets like the organs, and you know what I'm saying? So on and so forth. But we ain't gonna get into that. But right now you need to get a basic understanding that this was how they kept time. So instead of you saying you got 24 hours, you got 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., like 24 hours out the day, they kept track of time based upon the sun. So this is where you get the actual science of the houses, because it was constructed based upon the sun and the movement, and each area the sun played a different characteristic trait. You see what I'm saying? And they calculated it, and that was their time. So for an example, this is how we nowadays, well, astrologers, whatever they want to call it, this is how they came up with the system of the houses. But back then, the ancients was looking at it like this. So for an example, 6 o'clock in the morning to them will be when the sun rise. Now they didn't have no concept of 6 o'clock or 6 a.m. or p.m., right? So I'm just going to correlate this for y'all to let you know where man and Greek got it from. You know what I'm saying? I was here before all that shit. I was a star. So, you know, let's get into it. Now, they didn't look at it like 6 o'clock. The sun rose. So when the sun rose in your time, that would be 6 o'clock, right? So let's say, boom, 2 hours later, 6 to 8, the sun will play a different characteristic role. But the main characteristics between 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. compared to your time, to them, that's when the sun was actually playing out a simple characteristic, right? So this was when the sun was at the place where it's being the most personal, or having the most personal interactions, or dealing with people who are coming and needing help with their personal issues or their personal affairs. This is how they calculated that. So look, when the sun go from, let's say in your time, 8 to 10, it was in another portion. It was in so you could say in this, it was in another house. You know what I'm saying? It was in another house. It was, so let's say the second house. So at this time, the sun was vibrating and giving off color rays to the beings on the earth who was receiving, who was channeling the sun, and the sun was channeling them. Also, this was the portion making people to take focus and action amongst their values and what they relate to, and you know what I'm saying, what they have to offer to the world from being woke up. You see what I'm saying? So it's them starting the day. This is how they start the day, with the things that they value, their possessions. You see what I'm saying? After they done woke up from the first, you would call it 2 hours, they would call it sun ray. You know what I'm saying? They seen the color rainbow. Everything was a lot, like, I don't want to say closer, but it was a lot different. The way they all agreed upon of what these things are doing was different than what y'all today agree as a collective conscious of what these things is doing. So it was a different vibration going on. You see what I'm saying? So I say in your time, let's say from 6 to 10. Now let's go to 10 to 12. That would be the third house in your correlation in your realm. So when I say to them, they didn't look at it like, oh, it's 10 o'clock. To them, they looked at the sun. They practically did all this shit, right? So the sun, right, was basically in the third house. So this made them go out, take their values and what they have to offer and things, and plant the seeds, and you know what I'm saying, their possessions, and then they plant them and do it in their surroundings. So you know what I'm saying, they like to start planting farms and planting things in their surroundings, because they got the seeds from the second house, where from the sun was at, from what they value. Then they're in their surroundings and dealing with the things that they're familiar with. You know what I'm saying? Then that's from 10 to 12. Now 12 to 2, that's when the sun was in the fourth house. So this is a person relaxing in the meadow and feeling comfortable. You know what I'm saying? This is the time to feel comfortable and relax. You know what I'm saying? Get a hold of your emotional state before the next transition. See, they understood color rays. This is how they calculated time in a real way. You know what I'm saying? Now, when let's say 2, now that was 12 to 2. Now 2 in your time, you would say it's 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock, but to them it was the sun, and they didn't even look at it out houses yet. But this is where you got it from. We'll say that the sun is in the 5th house. So this is the time where it's getting real warm outside, you know what I'm saying, and things of that nature, and the sun is up, and this is where people felt like this was the time that people felt like to give the most praise to the sun. You know what I'm saying? And dance. But their praise and worship ain't the way y'all look at praise and worship today. How they looked at it back then was expressing themselves was giving praise. Dancing in the sun is giving praise. You know what I'm saying? Expressing, doing creative things and things of that nature. So when the sun transition, you know what I'm saying, after they entertain each other and things of that nature, and then the sun, then let's go to 2 to 4, then it's 4 to 6. Now 4 to 6 will be the sun in the 6th house. So this is when people start to work, get things prepared, you know what I'm saying, calculate, you know what I'm saying. They looked at this time of the day as, all right, let's get things ready, let's make sense out of what's going on, let's work on something, you know what I'm saying, let's get something prepared and things of that nature. Maybe a feast, maybe time for lunch time or dinner time or things of that nature. And this was like the feast time and things of that nature. And you know, they all communicated and analyzed each other's problems and things of that nature from what they have just expressed. So now that's 6 to 8. Now 6 to 8, you would say that this would be like the 7th house. Now this is how everybody relating to each other, you know what I'm saying, conversating from what they just brought up, and they thought this was the time to relate, you know what I'm saying, communicate about the day, you know what I'm saying. The sun is getting ready on its way down, you know what I'm saying. They looked at the sun the way they looked at the moon, but they just calculated it in different ways based upon its travel. So the sun has cycles also, you know what I'm saying. This is how we got houses in today's astrology, and this is how y'all motherfuckers even got time in y'all history. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, yeah, that's like 6 to 8. That would be the time that everybody's relating, you know what I'm saying, eating, communicating, you know what I'm saying, harmonizing, being fair and balanced, you know what I'm saying, and get ready to you know, for the night, you know what I'm saying. Now that's 8 to 10. Now 8 to 10, that would be in the 8th house. This is the occult time that they would say behind closed doors. You know what I'm saying? When the freaks come out at night. You know what I'm saying? Animals, different type of animals that's on their trail. You know what I'm saying? Everybody got their time and their place for doing things. So they know that this was the time for the creatures at the night. This was the time for them. So this was the time for the beings to go within behind closed doors. And what y'all would call occulted today is not occult. It wasn't nothing serious. It's just anything behind closed doors. So just look at all the things you do behind closed doors. You have sex, you meditate, you have privacy, you keep your secrets. You see your secrets behind closed doors are within you, and your alternative motives, your intentions, your true intentions, not just how you act and what you choose to show people, but what's your real alternative motives, what's behind the scenes, what's there in the dark that's going to intrigue people to motivate them to do some type of research or investigate in some type of way, whatever the circumstance is. So you see what I'm saying? This was all that energy of time. It was just going within, you know what I'm saying, basically to them. And whatever way, shape, or form, how people did that, that was how the energy played out. Some within their, went in their tents, some went within the habitat, went in the darkness. Some people went in the darkness, and how they looked at it in this time, it's like, oh, this person is leaving the camp and going into the darkness when the sun is not out. So they looked at these people as long, distant, what you want to call that? They looked at these people as the dark people who are into who are using the animal knowledge or using the dis knowledge, because if a person know how to get along with an animal in this time, is looked at as a person with universal knowledge. But this person just understood universal law before someone else in this time. You understand me? What it's like when it comes to vibrations and things of that nature. So that's how you gotta. It's just, it was a big thing correlated with this. You have to understand. You see what I'm saying? So it's this ancient things that, like the beings in this time, the thought forms that they was putting out, like, you know what I'm saying, like your thoughts and yours, except the ones you receive and then you cause the friction, you know what I'm saying, and have your own thought. The thoughts that they was putting out in the world back then is the energies you're feeling today. So when the planets is in certain signs and houses and things of that nature, you're feeling all the vibrations from all these beings that first experienced it and paid attention to that. They wasn't lost. They paid attention to it and stayed on task. So all the thoughts and vibrations and frequencies that got put out from how they was vibrating, we're picking up all the different thousands of spirits that, you know what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? This is how we're able to build on it and feel the vibration, like, oh, this is what they felt. And we got something to point to. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, that's 8 to 10. Now, hold on, yeah, 6. Yeah, that was 6 to 8 to 10. Okay, now 10. That was 8 to 10. Now 10 to 11. This was the time of enlightenment, because you're going to be in the dark. So this was the time of having wisdom, wise. You're wise enough. If you are in the dark and you're surviving, you're wise enough. Or if you are behind closed doors and doing things back behind closed doors, or getting ready to sleep, or getting ready to meditate, or getting ready to, you know what I'm saying, lay it down or close your eyes, or whatever you do, this is the wisdom time. This was their wisdom time. This was their time of lighting candles. This was their time of maybe smoking, whatever they were smoking back then. This was their time of, you know what I'm saying, accumulating all the experience they had throughout the day, you know what I'm saying, and putting higher meanings and reasonings to it and things of that nature, and penetrating and gaining and learning. And this was their way of gaining their vibrations and things of that nature. You see what I'm saying? Also, then when the sun went, let's say you would say in your time 10 to 12, you know what I'm saying? Was it 8 to 10? Hold on, I'm gonna mess that up. Okay, 8 to 10. Okay, that was 10 to 12. Now 12 to 2 will be the time that is like they're getting ready to, it's about status, it's about how they're seen, what they're known for, so what's practical. So that's going in the shield, you know what I'm saying, that's going up under, that's going in the shield and things of that nature. You see what I'm saying? So we got 6 to 8, we got motherfucking 8 to we got 6 to 8, 8 to 10, 10 to 12, you see what I'm saying, 12 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 6, you know what I'm saying, 6 to 8, 8 to 10. You see, they was calculating how the days went down. You see what I'm saying? Every 2 hours. You know what I'm saying? Then when the sun traveled to the next group of 2 hours, After it was stable, it goes in. It went into its castle. This was like when the sun was at the. See, they didn't. Here's the difference between now and back then. They didn't look at the 10th house as the midheaven, as the heaven. They looked at the 10th house as the below, as the hell, as the time to get down. You know what I'm saying? As the time to get on your knees or sleep, or you know what I'm saying, get into your what you have gained, what you have accessed, using your wisdom from something you can stable. For an example, if you have learned how to build a palace or build a bed, right? Then you being able to lay in that was like a status. Like if you had a castle or something like that, that was a status. You got something to go into. You got something to lay on. You knew how to make that. You knew how to build that. That was a status. But a person who was into that, people looked at that as a person who may have who go into the dark and kill animals, or go into the dark and take things from trees, or take things and build things and learn how to. So they looked at this back then as a person who was into some type of mysticism or something like that, or you know what I'm saying, or this was their type of witchcraft and things of that nature, putting things together in shape and form. But a person who was able to do that had status. They were known. They were seen in that way. You know what I'm saying? Then once it go to I think we are what, 2 to 4. Yeah, 2 to 4. Then 2 to 4. This is the time. This was the time of far out ideas, abstract. It's like you're basically sleep. This is a time of everybody resting, everybody analyzing, everybody communicating, relating, but within like, they want to say humanitarian, but I don't want to say humanitarian. I wanted to say like when everybody is together. You know what I'm saying? You got your family. You know what I'm saying? You go to your Pacific location. Everybody got their family. Everybody in their own Pacific location. You know what I'm saying? So everybody are communicating within what's relative to them. You know what I'm saying? Based upon, and they're within their status and what they're known for, and that's what's associated around, and they're within their group, they're associated with their organization, and it's a time of sleep. It's a time of like connectedness with the thoughts, with the mind. They looked at this like sleep. They looked at sleep like connecting with the mind. You see what I'm saying? They looked at all that like connecting with the mind and connecting, because they was getting ready to go to sleep in the 10th house. They laying down now, but they're laying in their resources. They're laying in their gifts, that they in their motherfucking labor, that they, not their labor, but the fruits from their labor. You see what I'm saying? Then they drift off to sleep. You know what I'm saying? Sleep and go off in their imagination, their thoughts. You know what I'm saying? All their unique individual particular location where they was at based upon the land. And then the dream come when the sun is in the last 2 hours, which will be 4 to 6. The dream come, and then they get to imagine. This is how they get their imaginations, their creative thoughts, they and things, and their spiritual nature and things of that nature, based upon the end of a dream, based upon the time when the sun is drifting and when it's getting ready to rise again. Then that's when they can take their collective conscious, which was their imagination, their dreams, their illusions that they just had, and be able to rise them. You know what I'm saying? So it's something like it. They looked at it as a rounding, but they looked at it as a something coming up, coming down, but in a cycle. So, but they just thought it was relative to them. So they didn't think that the earth was spinning or anything like that yet. So when they was birthing people, when they was birthing kids, like when anytime they have a child, right? The child that was born the earliest in the day, so let's say 6 in the morning. This will be the child that have the highest spirits, right? Then let's say by the time the highest spirits is the ones that came between 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. compared to your time. Now, in the time how they was looking at how you would say the houses in your time, let's say 6 p.m. to 12 a.m. They was looking at all the kids that was birthed. These was lower spirits. These were spirits from up under. These wasn't spirits from above. Marissa, can you shut the door? These wasn't spirits from on top. They were spirits from up under. You see what I'm saying? So for the most part, they looked at these like dark spirits. Now they didn't look at light and dark spirits as far as evil and good, how y'all seen it. They just seen it as characteristics, certain traits that was being inhabited. Now they know the from 6 p.m. to 12 a.m. was spirits that's going to express maybe the lower half or the lower attributes of the realm we was in, and the high spirits ones was going to express the light ones, the high ones. and things of that nature. But they looked at these like both of these are needed. You know what I'm saying? And that's how they created balance. And that's how they predicated their reincarnation and predicated who they bringing into this world and things of that nature. So you will look at it like your houses today and things of that nature, and specifically what sign is your first house. And if your first house start from Libra all the way to Pisces, they will look at you like you was a dark spirit. And if your ascendant was the 6 houses before, you know what I'm saying, if your first house was, but it wasn't calculated like houses yet. You see what I'm saying? They just looked at it like spirits coming in, because they naturally looked at it like the sun. That time when you born, that's the time you is. That's your first house. So for an example, say you are a Leo ascendant like me, but say you are Aries sun, so your sun would be in the 9th house. Really, you're supposed to look at your 9th house like the first house. So the 9th house really is my first house. So my personality, the first house represents your personality, personal issues, and affairs. So my personality, personal issues, and affairs is basically 9th house shit. You know what I'm saying? Higher education, wisdom, knowledge, higher meaning and reasoning, broad philosophical points of views of looking at the world, spirituality, and God. You know what I'm saying? Astrology, occult, mysticism, science, and things of that nature. Wisdom and knowledge. So you see what I'm saying? They looked at things different back then. This was more the natural system. You see what I'm saying? And another thing too, see, what they was calculating back then was how we was able to calculate your ascendant sign. You know what I'm saying? Because, for an example, say what season is this? This Capricorn season, right? So the sun rises at 6 a.m. So if you was born at 6 a.m., between 6 a.m. and 8 a.m. in the morning, you would be a Capricorn rising. You know what I'm saying? You'll be a Capricorn rising, and it gradually go out. You know what I'm saying? Until the sun go into another sign. They both gradually work their way out together. So let's say mid-month, mid-Capricorn month, you know what I'm saying? Mid-sign and mid-month, in the morning, Capricorn ascendant will probably start at 7 a.m. in the morning. You know what I'm saying? Midway, 15 degrees into Capricorn. You know what I'm saying? 15 degrees into Capricorn, by the sun being at 15 degrees Capricorn, 7 o'clock in the morning, the sun will rise. When the sun, Capricorn ascendant will be at 7 a.m. You know what I'm saying? And it is gradually, oh, what's up, Marissa? Oh, okay. And it gradually go on, and then when the sun goes into Aquarius, then it'll be, when 6 a.m. come in the morning to you guys, it'll be Aquarius ascendant. You know what I'm saying? So from 6 to 8, you will be at Aquarius ascendant. If you was born from 8 to 10, you will be Pisces ascendant. If you was born from 10 to 12, you will be Aries ascendant. And it would gradually go on. You see what I'm saying? So, but this is how we calculate astrology now, if we was to go deep into it. But I'm just telling you back, this is ancient, how the ancients looked at the houses, how they looked at planets, and where they were starting to get witty with it. When they were starting to get, because I was here in these times too, this is what we was doing. You know what I'm saying? So all the statues and shit y'all be seeing on the ancient ceilings and shit, that was way after the fact. You know what I'm saying? The first and the fact is the shit I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? That you could be born in evil. If you was born in the nighttime of the day, you came in as an evil spirit by the moon. And if you came in through the day portion, then you was a high-spirited person that came in. And both of y'all played out y'all duties and obligations. The ones in the night was the ones that was supposed to go out in the dark and relate and bring things back and understand all that kind of stuff. And the ones in the day was supposed to take care of the day type things and things that we can't see and get that taken care of. So you would look at that now as humans who are logically equipped and humans who are emotionally equipped. The ones who are emotionally equipped but less logical will be the dark spirits. The ones who are logically equipped but less emotional will be the light spirits. You see what I'm saying? But that's how they seen it. But it's deeper than that. I don't want y'all to look at it like that's the surface, like, oh, I'm a left brain person, I'm a high spirited person, or I'm a right brain person, or this mean I'm evil. They didn't look at it like that. You see what I'm saying? Everybody had their traits. It's just like a marriage, the husband is there for the logical things, and the wife is there for the support of things, the emotional support. You see what I'm saying? It's like it was like a give and receive things, how they looked at it. You know what I'm saying? Like the dark spirits, the people who went out in the night, they may have received a lot of information about what's going on, but didn't know how to logically put it into play. So they'd come give the information to the light spirited people, and they would know how to make the shape and form out of the shit and make it work and make the designs and shape out of the shit. And then what the people didn't know in the daytime, with the shit that they was using and stuff like that, that's when the people in the dark go and give them the feeling and the vibration of how this was felt and how this was related to and the experience. And you know, it was like they had a whole different life. But this before all y'all civilizations. Astrology before all that shit. Flight boss, bitch, goddamn air. Hee hee.